Okay, so big topic of conversation lately. A lot of excitement surrounding the next Star Wars movie that's going to be released.
Yes.
Force Awakens.
Super
J.J.
excited.
Abrams. Yeah. So looking back on some of the more recent Star Wars works, obviously a pretty glaring flaw regarded by a lot of fans is Episode 1.
Yes, the worst in the franchise, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would agree.
Worst out of the 6, worst out of the 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess worst of them.
Yeah, probably the worst one.
Easily.
So, I thought it would be good to just go back and look at a couple things that were really wrong about that movie and how maybe Disney can learn from those going forward and capitalize on the good stuff.
Sounds good. Let's start with the bad and go to the good.
All right.
So, droids, we all unanimously agreed, were not great.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the representation of the battle droids was really comical and, catered towards kids, I felt like, but not in a way that made you appreciate the movie anymore. It sort of was out of place.
Well, and they presented no challenge. It seemed as if, obviously we know stormtroopers, technically these are the 4 stormtroopers, but it was clearly like droids were just there. They would just cut through them like butter. I mean, there was no real challenge. It was just kind of a time obstacle. There was never a sense of urgency or danger when they came across the droids.
The droids, they seem like they were comic relief, but they're a military. They're supposed to be your military forces, they're your soldiers, but they're comic relief. There's never really any, like you were saying, they were never intimidating.
So along the same vein, another pretty glaring flaw is the overuse of CGI and, in fact, the use of CGI to try and lighten the mood or make things funny. But it just sort of comes off as pretty cheesy and lame.
It comes off as I think one of the biggest flaws of the movie was there was no chemistry between the actors. Everything felt cold and dry. I think part of the reason is because there were just a handful of great actors in a giant green room. There was nothing for them to tangibly connect to and hold on to. It was just basically just staring at a wall and acting. It looks like garbage. It looks fake. Everything looks fake, and it doesn't feel real. It feels cold. The actors couldn't grab a hold on anything to actually,
Especially, for the actors, for the ones that actually did do well, that's enough of a challenge as it was. You think about that, and that's what they have to work with. They have green furniture. They have green backdrops. They have the one other person next to them. They have a guy dressed in a big green skin suit that they might be talking to or something like that.
It's a combination of a lot of things. If you don't have real sets, if you don't have great writing, and you don't have good characters or good actors for those characters, that all comes together to create a not so magical movie experience. You don't have much to go on. And I'd say, by and large, one of the worst characters to be brought to life in this movie would have been Jar Jar.
Yeah, hands down, that's probably, I don't know, I feel like every topic we go through, I feel like that's the worst thing about the movie. I don't know, George Lucas, you hear in interviews, he talks about how, Star Wars has and always, will be, is for kids, but that's not really true. If you watch, any of the original, 4, 5, or 6, there's nothing very kiddie about those movies. Luke's Guardians, where his aunt and uncle are burned to death.
Skeletons in the desert.
Obi-Wan just slices off that dude's arm in the cantina. There's a lot of. It's not overly graphic or scary, but it's not for kids. I don't know if I let my little kids watch that. Maybe 10. You can handle the scariness of Vader, but it's not like a kids movie.
Do you guys think that along those same lines, trying to cater to kids, that was the reasoning behind the way Anakin's character was casted and the way his character is portrayed?
He was too young, and he was just, I hate to say it, but he was a bad actor.
And bad writing.
And bad writing.
Horrible writing, but, oh gosh, it's funny you bring up the actor. The poor kid's never gonna work anywhere again.
Oh, he's forever typecast.
Yeah.
He's never gonna act at least.
So I feel bad for the actual human being that had to do that. Because a lot of it, yeah, is probably is acting, but he's just a kid, so what are you going to do? But the writing definitely didn't do him any favors.
And it was just like a happy-go-lucky kid, but he was a slave. And there was nothing that said, like, you know, tortured, sad. I mean, he doesn't have to be, like, emo depressed, but, like, have some substance, have some layers to him.
Yeah.
He was just a happy-go-lucky kid who wanted to save his people one day in return and set his mother free. And, you know, that could be done. I mean, that story arc could be done right, but it just wasn't.
Moving from there, I know there's something you take issue with, and that's the concept of midi-chlorians, as referenced in episode 1. What's the deal with those?
They didn't exist until then, and apparently that's what now. What is it? It's like some sort of, if you have them, then the force is stronger in you.
I heard Yoda talking about midi-chlorians. I've been wondering, what are midi-chlorians?
Midi-chlorians are a microscopic life form that resides within all living cells.
I don't understand.
It took the magic away from what the Force was. You know, maybe, I don't know, it made something that was like, I don't know what the word to use, I guess magical and mysterious and like transcendent above just normal. And it made it just like a
Genetic.
it's genetics, you know, it's like,
Or quantifiable?
yeah, it's just
Yeah.
like, there's nothing special about it anymore. It's like, oh, you have this rare, you know, gene, basically, or something. I mean, and it wasn't cool like X-Men, like you had an X gene. It was just like, oh, your body has extra white blood cells or something, you know. It was just totally took the wonder and magic and just, yeah.
I mean, I know when I first, you know, saw it in the movie and they were referencing him, I just imagined like a thousands of like tiny little dudes jumping around in Anakin that are like the midi-chlorians.
Yeah.
I don't know what they want you to think.
And I guess I even forgot that he didn't have a dad.
Yeah.
Is this guy he's supposed to be Jesus? What's going on?
It doesn't, yeah.
It never goes back to that, does it? I'm just thinking that right now is like we're talking about Anakin and the midi-chlorians is like, who is his father? That's just it. He didn't have one.
Well, that's what doesn't make sense. So either it's like this, the Force is this kind of mystical thing that, you know, it gives people powers and you can flow in it and out of it, or it's this scientific thing that some people have and some people don't. So what is explaining the random pregnancy? Is it like a science thing, like she has a ton of midi-chlorians that just produced a child, or is it this, you know, mystical force that produced a child?
Just say if it's genetic, then maybe mom should have the force or something.
It's not consistent. Yeah, it's just like it's either one thing or the other. I mean, I guess it could be both, but that's just not really fun, or I don't know, not good stuff.